Welcome back. All right, so I'm going to go through the rack behind me here. I'm going to try to pull out one jersey from each franchise that I feel like is a forgotten jersey or an underrated jersey. So one that may have been forgotten over the last 20, 30, however many years, and one that I think is underrated for each team. Now, obviously, Vegas and Seattle, there haven't been enough jerseys for there to really be a forgotten or an underrated. Seattle's home and aways are both very nice. Vegas has some very nice jerseys as well. I think the gold jerseys, as scratchy as they are, also as Vegas as it gets. So let's go ahead and start things off with Anaheim. There was a time that this was the regular jersey for the Anaheim Ducks. It is one of those looks that kind of gets forgotten. People always think back to, hey, I love the Anaheim Ducks jerseys when they came in as the Mighty Ducks, and of course, that's the jersey that's remembered. This one, not remembered as well. I don't mind it. It was at a time where they were really trying to make this stripes over the top thing happen. A lot of teams used it. It worked in some cases, didn't work in others, but I think this is an underrated jersey. I don't expect to ever see this one back. That being said, the white stripe's kind of nice. This is a Jovanovski jersey. I got this one from Full Moon Jerseys. Pretty sure they don't have this one anymore. But yeah, it's an Arizona look that I think kind of gets forgotten. The one they changed to with the black in it as well, I think is one that they'll do throwbacks to over the years. This one may not come back again, but it's not too bad. I could have picked the home or the away with this. It really wouldn't make much of a difference. But the white one looks really nice. The black one's nice as well. Black one I have, of course, is a Ray Bork jersey. This one I got through Van City Sports. They don't have that anymore either. But yeah, so I think this is a look that they likely don't end up going back to. The look they have now is similar, right? Boston makes small changes along the way. But this one, I think, and again, same with the stripes as the Anaheim jersey. There you see the Paddington Bear on the shoulder, which of course we know will be on the front of the new reverse retro. Maybe we see a reverse retro version of this at some point, but I have my doubts. Now for Buffalo, I'm going to say that this Heritage jersey deserves a run as the third. This is, of course, the Heritage jersey from last season. Really loved the Buffalo on the shoulder. Absolutely fantastic cream-colored jersey with some really nice striping on it as well. This is just absolutely fantastic. I would love to see this as a third. Maybe they would look at it and say, well, it's too close to our regular road jersey, but just personally, I'd love to see it. We went through Calgary going back to their original design. Now, Blasty is enjoying a bit of a renaissance with Flames fans. At what point do we see this one come back? Maybe we don't. Maybe we see Blasty added to the shoulders of their current jerseys, which might be seen as kind of a sacrilege to longtime fans of Calgary. And so maybe we do see this at some point. The Black Sea, of course, was one of those odd choices, but all the black I thought looked kind of nice. And overall, who knows? Maybe we end up seeing this come back. But I definitely would put this in the underrated category. It is actually pretty nice. I have this both, of course, in the home and the away. When they changed to the word mark with Canes on the front, I was actually kind of sad to see this one go. What I like too is how the nameplate's a different color than the number underneath. This is a good little shoulder yoke they got going on. Honestly, I don't ever expect to see this come back, either in the home or the away, because they've got the flags back. But I thought they looked clean without the storm flags. Totally understand why they're back, though, for a team called the Hurricanes. Admittedly, Chicago's tough. Now, this is the 2015 Winter Classic. You will notice the logo looks exactly the same. The striping looks very, very similar. But I did like the red C here and the Tomahawks. I thought were kind of nice. It's a Hjalmarsson jersey for anybody who's curious. But yeah, I mean, again with Chicago, it is really difficult to come up with one because really their design doesn't change that much, and they do throwbacks all the time. And there hasn't been a huge change between what they wore back then and the throwbacks we see now. Gonna apologize right off the hop for the repetitiveness with Colorado because, yeah, this is the red one they wore when they first got to Colorado before they changed their color to a burgundy. It's the Mike Ricci jersey. It's got the foot on the shoulder. It's got the black stripe. And really, that's as close as you can get to either forgotten or underrated. I'll go with underrated on this. Definitely not a forgotten design because it's very, very similar to what they're wearing now. Columbus. There really isn't much with Columbus. They've only been around for 20 years. They've changed their logo once. This is the third jersey that was before they made this their main logo. I talked about this in a video not that long ago. There's black on the on the sleeves. Nice jersey. Now, I'm going to throw out there too. There's a very good chance that this year's reverse retro is going to do some kind of an homage to this. So it's not going to be forgotten or underrated for long. The star is never forgotten or underrated. This is. This design, these colors, absolutely gorgeous. I don't know that Dallas ever does any kind of a throwback to this, but this one is one that it is easy to kind of forget because the star logo, the way that looked. So it's this logo, but where the jersey itself had the colors in the shape of a star, it just looked fantastic. So understandable that people might forget this one, might be underwhelmed if this became a reverse retro at some point, but I was always a fan of the design myself. We may see a reverse retro homage to this, but this is absolutely fantastic. This, of course, being a Steve Yzerman. You see the current logos on the shoulders. Absolutely fantastic jersey. That's just on the one shoulder. There you go, just the one shoulder. But anyways, yeah, fantastic jersey. I really like it, even though there's just the one stripe on it. But I just think it's nice. It's eye catching and shows the last round of reverse retros. They just didn't do their work. There's not a lot to choose from with the Oilers, especially since the gear is coming back for the new reverse retro. So I went with this, their old color scheme. Old color scheme being the newer one than the one they're currently using, which is the royal blue that was original. This is the copper and navy look, and I always thought it looked really nice. You've got the red circle around the circle, which is also, it breaks up all the white on it. Really, I always liked the shoulder patches too. I always thought that was kind of sharp. But of course, with the Oilers, I think part of it is you win all those Stanley Cups with those original jerseys. People want those jerseys to come back because there's that connection, right? And these jerseys never really had that connection for the fans. So how is this forgotten for Florida? The stick, the broken stick. I honestly thought the first time I saw a Florida Panthers jersey with the broken stick, I thought, that actually looks better. I think it looks kind of fun. I thought it looked better as the logo, and of course they had this on a blue jersey, they had it on a red jersey. I have both, and I wouldn't mind seeing this on a reverse retro at some point. Although it looks like this is going to be the primary logo on the new reverse retro. Maybe throw that on the shoulders, right? The LA Kings, I've talked a lot about different looks they've had. I'm going to talk about this one. So it does have the coat of arms on the shoulder. I'm still surprised that this is not the main logo on their jersey, to be honest. I'm not opposed to the logo that the Kings have right now, but I do prefer this one. I think it's nicer, and I would love to see something come back with that. But it is definitely an underrated look. Now, if they ever do go back to it at some point, then Los Angeles probably won't be at the bottom of it. I don't really qualify that as word mark either, in case people are curious. But yeah, it's a look that I think, I don't know if forgotten's the right word, but I see a lot of the late 80s jerseys that they bring that back, and now the original logo, and it feels like maybe this era is getting overlooked a bit. Hey, you guys like some stripes on the tops of the sleeves, right? Yeah, that was definitely the look around the turn of the century, which is when Minnesota came in and had this fantastic secondary on the shoulder. Minnesota doesn't have a lot of different looks, so this is as close as I can get to forgotten and underrated. And I would say it's a little bit of both. Now, the fun thing with these jerseys in this era too is the venting under the arms. It happens with CCM's cohos as well. It is an interesting way of doing jerseys like that. It is one way to tell whether or not it's a fake when you're checking a listing on eBay because, yeah, they had that back then. But, yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's something to this design, and Minnesota does change its design seemingly somewhat regularly, so we'll see if this one comes back at some point. Montreal's tough one, too, as in the only change you're going to get really is the striping, but this is a vintage, CCM vintage right there. I do like the striping on this. Montreal doesn't make very many changes over the last 100 years when it comes to their jerseys, but it does feel like this is a design that, I don't know, it feels like I could wear this in a video and people would think, okay, I'm pretty sure that's a normal Montreal jersey, but there's something that seems a little bit different about it. Because again, they really haven't made big changes over the years. Even the logo has stayed remarkably similar. A recent addition to my collection is this one, the Reebok version of the Nashville Predators jersey. I like it. I did like the yellow here. I like that the colors are broken up. The new jersey is, as people would term it, cleaner, right? There's less lines, there's less colors and all that, but I do like this jersey. I think it's an underrated period for Nashville. And I was even okay with the gold ones with this same kind of piping and design. Interestingly enough, I've got two jerseys for Nashville with names on them that I've acquired. Both of them Shea Weber jerseys, because after he got traded, the price of his jerseys came down. They got easier to find. The Devils don't change their look. So this is their original jersey. We've seen a reverse retro throwback. Now we're going to see a reverse retro that does the throwback to the Kansas City Scouts. But, I mean, red and green are fine, right? I do wonder if there'll ever be a time that the New Jersey Devils permanently add a jersey with green in it to the rotation. I'm not talking home and away, I'm talking about a third. They'd have to win wearing it. They did a white version of this jersey as a throwback a few years back. They didn't win a single game, so they'd have to have something they win in. But I do think bringing green back for New Jersey, I don't think that'd be the worst decision in the world. This is an interesting entry. This is the Islanders era before their current one, where they've gone back to what they used to look like back in the 70s and 80s. But I don't mind these at all. I kind of like the blue around the shoulder. Interestingly enough, this is one of the jerseys that I have this, which is a genuine jersey. There's also a fake that I have. Fakes do not go in this part of the collection. But at some point in time, my wife and I are going to have a jersey video where we talk about the fakes, how to spot them. And there's usually going to be a viewer or two that realizes, oh, wow, I've got this jersey I paid $200 for. It turns out it's a fake. It's a bad feeling. From somebody who's experienced that feeling, I understand. This one, though, is the real deal. Jock tag's still on it. I don't take the jock tags off in general. I know there's people that do, though. It's relatively easy to get that off of there, too. But, it's a Reebok. I do like this, though. I don't think we ever see necessarily a throwback to it. But I thought the colors were nice, too. Ranger fans hated it in the 70s. I didn't. I liked it quite a bit. I don't have a white version of this because I've never been able to find a white version of this that was actually made by CCM and that is an actual officially licensed product. There are white ones available on eBay. A lot of them ship from Philippines, etc., etc. So it's likely a knockoff. Some of them can be nice, and that's something else I can get into when I talk about fake jerseys. But I would love to have a white version of this. I just don't. I could get an 80s Jets design and just put that logo on the front, because basically the 80s Jets is exactly the same as the New York Rangers 70s look. I like the Scooby-Doo eyes. I like how they follow you. I like how they're able to track your movements and tell you if you've done things that are bad. The one thing with this logo, as amazing as the eyes are, and they are, because they can see you if you don't like them, but I do like this design. I did like, too, on the shoulder, you've got the regular logo. This was the third jersey that they wore. And it was a prelude to eventually when they would switch over to the 3D version of the logo being their main one. And having some odd choices when it came to striping, which is perfectly fine. But yeah, I think this is one that, come on, just do a reverse, do it. The eyes are saying you have to do it. Yep, bringing this out again. Philadelphia is the only time they've changed the logo at all. I thought it looked fine. This, for the record, is a Craig Berube jersey. Got it from Full Moon Hockey, or Full Moon Jerseys, sorry. And again, really nice jersey. Overall good look. The striping's a little bit different. Maybe at some point we see this on a retro/throwback jersey as well. Stadium jersey logos are terrible from this era. They fold. You end up with a line in them. Even if you haven't folded the jersey, somehow it just shows up. But I like the striping. I like the colors. I know that most Penguin fans like the yellow color gold they have now. I did prefer the old gold as well. This is a stadium jersey, though, so there's going to be some oddities with it, but I did like it. Maybe at some point in time they do a throwback, but it's easy to forget this now. They've had so many outdoor games. It's easy to forget one of the outdoor jerseys they've worn. The Sharks have had, 3 different black jerseys in their history. This was the first one that they did. I'm going to go ahead and talk about this one a little bit. The striping a little bit different. No stripes on the bottom of the jersey. Plunging neckline because Coho, and that was the era. Just let your chest hair just kind of out there, right? But yeah, this was a good design. Overall, not too shabby. And again, Could you forget it? Yes, because they have had 3 different black jerseys in their history. I have done jersey history videos before. I've opted not to do that this offseason because I only did the jersey history videos 2 years ago, so I felt like it's a little too soon. That could come back next summer. We shall see. The Blues have had a very consistent look, and they've done some throwback jerseys recently. They've had some outdoor games and whatnot, so I'm opting for this one. One of my favorite Reebok jerseys that I remember when Adidas got the contract and seeing how the Adidas jerseys were made, I thought, well, that'll be interesting to see in Adidas. It has not come back. They've not brought it back. There are Blues fans that will say, hell yeah, we're not bringing that back. I am on the other side of it saying, why not? I really thought this was a sharp jersey. I thought it was something different. The coloring's a little bit different. It's still clearly a Blues jersey. There's no confusion about that. It's nice, and it's got the arch in the background. I really like the arch. I think it's kind of nice. I understand that circle with the name, that's been done many, many times by many teams, but that goes way back in NHL history. So I really don't see that as a reason not to bring it back either, but, I'll just jump off the soapbox. The Tampa Bay Lightning won a Stanley Cup with their original design. They've won 2 Stanley Cups with their current design, which means this logo is left out in the cold, in part because they didn't win anything when they wore it. But I like it. The stripes underneath the sleeves are a choice. It's always been an oddity to me with the Tampa Bay Lightning jerseys that they do that. The originals did that as well. But I like the shoulders. I like this logo a lot. That's why I like to use that on when I do the game reviews for new subscribers. You'll see I like to use this logo a lot for Tampa Bay. It's at the top. I think it's really sharp. I'd like to see them use that at some point as a primary, but that's just me. It won't happen. So yeah, I do like this logo though. It's not too bad. And because it's a Reebok, there's no stripes at the bottom. Back to the plunging neckline and the vented jersey. So you see the venting again. It's a coho. We had a real problem with sweating back in the late 90s. I don't know if anybody knew this. But yeah, this Maple Leafs logo likely never to be on the front of a jersey again. They will go with the 67 and before that era. I'm not sure why they wouldn't want to use this. I think we all know. But what I like too, the TML on the shoulder, that I have to admit that at first, from some angles it looked like FML, which, right? But I don't think we'll ever see that back on the shoulder. They've had some fun designs, and really for Toronto, it's hard to find one that might be qualified as forgotten or underrated. But I think that this era, because of this Maple Leaf logo on the front and the fact that teams are unlikely to ever use it again, eventually that kind of gets forgotten, doesn't it? Does it not? All the skate throwbacks they've done, and they've never done a throwback to this one. To me, it's just sad because this jersey I was always a huge fan of. While I did like the jerseys that followed, I thought this was fantastic. I'm glad I have it. It is one of the favorite jerseys I have. Of course, I have the yellow one as well. And there's V's on the shoulder. So when you want a flying V back, maybe what you actually want is just the flying V's on the shoulders and the skate on the front. It looks much, much nicer than an actual flying V. The idea of the flying V is better than the reality of the flying V, all right? It just is. The fantasy's better than reality. The Screaming Eagles back with another reverse retro. How long does it take for us to get this beautiful idea back? Now, if you're of the mind that the logo on the front, don't like it, not a huge fan, it doesn't look great, fine. Then you take the eagle off the shoulder and you put the eagle on the front. The colors on this are fantastic. And again, I've always been a fan of jerseys that use unique, different colors from one another. You see so many combinations of blue, red, black, and marigold that it can get kind of repetitive. So when you see a jersey that's got something different like this copper in it, the blue's a little bit different than what you see from most blue colored jerseys as well. It just stands out. So I would love to see this color scheme return, even if you don't think the logo should. Now, Winnipeg doesn't really have anything that they've retired in terms of jerseys other than the light blue one with the Winnipeg Jets with the jet in it. So, and again, Jets fans, just hear me out. I'm not saying to do a Thrashers throwback or anything like that, but we are definitely up to a point now where it's been over a decade since the Thrashers left. And they had some nice jerseys. At the very least, they had nice colors. So, I think it would be fun, considering what New Jersey's doing with a throwback to the colors that were worn by Kansas City and then Colorado, because they wore the same colors, if the Winnipeg Jets did something where they incorporated Atlanta's colors and they did a jersey that way, where it's still a Winnipeg Jets jersey, but acknowledging the colors worn by the Atlanta Thrashers. Because without this team, we don't have a Winnipeg Jets right now. It's not happening. No other team has moved since then. So I would like to see something done that way, and there are some really fun Thrasher jerseys. This is just one. This is the most recent one that I got. This was the last one I needed. I have everything Thrashers, so in the event that the Jets ever decided to do some kind of a throwback, I've got magnets made, I've got jerseys, I've got hats, I'm all set. I'm just waiting for them to pull the trigger. So that's my honest opinion of jerseys that are forgotten or underrated, and I think Thrasher jerseys got a little bit underrated because the team wasn't relevant. The team made the playoffs once, and people don't go out and buy jerseys of teams that aren't considered relevant. That's rare. It does happen at times, but it is rare. So that's my opinion. And again, I would have grabbed a Jets jersey, but they're using the 90s logo on the new reverse retro. They've done plenty of throwbacks to the 80s and to their WHA days, and their current logo and design really hasn't changed since they got back to Winnipeg. So really didn't have anything else to grab, but something that said Thrashers, or one of the other Atlanta jerseys I have. There you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Which jersey gets a lot of hate, or which jersey do you think is just underrated or forgotten that you'd like to see brought back, or something done with it, whether it's Adidas maybe doing a Team Classics where they re-release it, or you'd like to see the NHL team wear it again. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.